So good morning. Why don't we call the meeting to order? I think most of you know of this this hearing will be broadcast on Channel 35. Unfortunately, we can't tell you the time, but if you call the station, I'm sure they will let you know if you just can't miss one of these hearings. We're going to start with our report from our General Manager, Ron Nichols.
Thank you, President Sales. Just a couple of quick items here. We're going to be talking about energy efficiency today, so in the interest of efficiency, I'll keep it short. There are two key items that have happened since our last meeting in our planning efforts, both on the power and the water side, that I just want to take note of. I think you're all board's fully aware and has been briefed all along the way with regard to the integrated resource plan that we've done on the power side. Our staff made a presentation to the Council Environment and Energy Committee just last week, and it was I think a very good discussion, a lot of good open dialogue back and forth on that. I think our staff deserves a good commendation for the effort they've done all along on that work. It precedes my tenure here. I certainly can't take any credit for it. They've done a great job on it. And I think it opened a good dialogue started dialogue on council with respect to that. Kind of on the heels of that, on the water side, Jim McDaniel and staff's been doing the same thing. I had a couple of public workshops on the urban water management plan. Very well attended. I sat in on the second of those meetings, and the discussion was very open. I think it laid out where we sit on some of the difficult issues that we're facing, explaining why and the wherefore of that, and had very good attendance and good back and forth questions on that. I thought the dialogue on that was very, very helpful as well, and I think it's a good move forward to what this department is seeking to do to be more open, transparent, and make sure people are aware of the challenges that we're facing, but doing so in a very productive way, and I'd like to commend them for that effort. And with that, we can move forward with the rest of your agenda, sir.
Okay, I do have one speaker card for item number 2. Okay, the speaker is Dr. Clyde Williams, and the speaking time for the speaker's day will be 2 minutes.
Good morning. Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, Northeast LA. I attended both of the same meetings. Central point, from the neighborhood councils, I'm a DWP liaison. We don't get any special favors or anything. Why have the MOU if we're not going to be informed in a timely fashion? That is usually 2 months, 3 months to get it out to the communities and get it back to the DWP. What we're concerned about is that when we're asked as to what is an IRP, well, that's something like a plan to go forward. Well, the first thing everybody asks is the rates. Well, the rates, I tell them, the rates will increase a lot, because if you do conduct DWP in standard utility practices, you don't have to worry about a 60-year replacement for telephone pole and for power poles, transformers, and cable, but you do have to worry about a 300-year replacement for pipe. And that's going to cost a lot of money. For me, I don't really worry about it, because 3 kilowatt hours per day, hardly even worthwhile. 50 gallons per person per day, hardly worthwhile. So we're trying to inform our neighborhood councils as to what is coming, but we're still waiting for how it's going to affect the rates. The difference between 5 and 8% compounded over a 5 or 10-year period can be quite significantly different. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
That was the last card for number 2.
Comments or requests from commissioners?
Not at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Parkley, Commissioner Newman.
I would like to discuss item number 5. I'd like to pull that off.
Okay. Number 5 is pulled. Put it on the discussion agenda. Public comment, I think we have 4 cards. Is that
Yes,
right?
we have some cards for number 4. The first speaker for public comment number 4 is Dr. Clyde Williams, and after that, Chuck Ray.
Good morning. That's why I sit on this side. The public comments. One of the things that we're trying to do in neighborhood councils is actually help the DWP. Our beautification committee and LA 32 neighborhood council came up with the idea of painting out graffiti and painting the fire hydrants. It would seem rather simple. We have the standard colors, we have everything. We actually paid for paint, and then we were told, when I asked for another can of paint, we were told by our council district representative, oh, you can't do that. The fire department, the fire department doesn't care. The DWP, well, there's no policy regarding community painting of fire hydrants. So we went through the process. We contacted the community affairs person, and we were asked, well, we'll do it. When do you want it done? Where are the fire hydrants that you want painted? So I gave a map and a time schedule, and golly gee whiz, I don't think we can get it done that fast. Well, then I said, why not give us the paint and we'll do it. We know how to paint even fire hydrants, and we can take training if nothing else, and we can save you a lot of money because we do it free. Why? Because we want the fire hydrants to be beautiful, a beautiful fire hydrant, at least visible and without the graffiti. But we're told, there's no policy on the part of DWP to provide the required paint for painting fire hydrants by community members. So we'd like to have some clarification as to whether we could get a couple of cases of paint, because we're looking at 500 to 1,000 fire hydrants. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Chuck Ray, and after that, Candido Morez.
Good morning. Thank you
Morning.
for giving me time. I'm Chuck Ray, the Vice Chairman of the Neighborhood Council's Department of Water and Power MOU Oversight Committee. I here today speaking mostly for myself, because I worked on 2 separate plans to provide oversight for the Department of Water and Power. One is Measure I, which the voters will get a chance to decide upon on March 8th. And the other is your own advisory committee that was set up by former interim general manager, Mr. Buettner, to look at how the department itself could get a ratepayers advocate. What I would like to suggest here is that it would be wonderful if we could merge both of those plans, because they both have strengths and weaknesses that complement each other. I believe, for example, I could go on and on explaining that for a long time, and I don't want to burden you when we're talking about efficiency today, but I just want to raise one point, that the Measure I says there's going to be a citizens committee to select the executive director of the Office of Public Accountability, but it's silent to not right now on how that's going to be constituted, leaving that to a later ordinance. I would suggest that you take the plan that was put together for you, which has a very well thought out organization for their board of directors that gives good representation across the stakeholders, appropriately bringing in interests that may not ordinarily be called ratepayers, like the environmental community, the labor interests, and recognizing also that there's some difference between ordinary businesses and, say, nonprofit businesses. So I'd suggest you review that and send a letter off to the council saying, hey, guys, why not do that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Candido Morez, and after that, Roland Guevara.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Nichols, the great President Abraham Lincoln once said, "Do I not crush my enemies when I make them my friends?" And that is what you have done to me, sir. When you made changes here and people left here, part of that cancer left with it. Not all of it, but part of that cancer. So to you, sir, I bow because, again, I've been here since 1991, and we've had a lot of people come into this arena and sat in that off and on that seat in that position and made promises, and nothing really ever happens. I had an article in the paper, my opinion, and I said that if you were to succeed, you needed the support of the public, of every ratepayer, every resident in this city, and I believe you have that, sir. So I hope that you'll take advantage of that because we need that to take place. So many changes can happen under your leadership. You have the ability, and the one thing people here know, I don't kiss anybody's butt, so if I'm embarrassing you, I apologize. But my point is that we want change. We need change. And if you'll do that, those of us who have been fighting for a long time will appreciate that. One of the other areas, and one of my California Public Record Acts, is I requested all the cases of discrimination, harassment, retaliation in the last year. And it's amazing, the names, if I take a look at the names and the backgrounds, it seems to always be the same type of individual, someone who's trying to make improvements, someone who's trying to point out that there's a problem within the department. There was an individual who lost her case, but we're going to try to make a whistleblower ordinance and name it after her because she fought and she wanted to make sure that the ratepayers and the hardworking DWP workers who are here because they appreciate their jobs and want to do what's best, are heard. So we hope that we have your continued support to make the changes that are needed here, and we just thank you for the things that are taking place.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Roland Guevara, and after that, Tony Wilkinson.
Good morning. My name is Roland Guevara. Thank you for letting me do my spiel. The little problem that I have, my name is Roland Guevara, and I'm from the Van Nuys Council, and I'm a veteran. The little problem that I have is parking. For some reason, we just have to park somewhere else to be able to get to this meeting. I have a bad leg, and I would love for somebody to accommodate that a little easier. There's a saying in Spanish that says, "Espero que esto no caiga en oídos sordos," means I hope this doesn't fall in deaf ears. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Tony Wilkinson.
I am Tony Wilkinson, the chair of the Neighborhood Council Department of Water and Power Memorandum of Understanding Oversight Committee. And in the Oversight Committee, of course, one of the things that we have seen over the last year, which is really rewarding, is a tremendous increase in public outreach, workshops, seminars that the department is having about its critical issues. And I have one comment as the Urban Water Management Plan begins to be rolled out. The Recycled Water Group has already had a long outreach program, very thorough, involving neighborhood councils. And I think that one of the things about the Recycled Water Plan that we need to emphasize is the fact that it is going to be done within the current rate structure. It was a very tough decision. This is a very ambitious plan for stormwater capture, for usage reduction, and for recycling. And it talks to our environmental friends and tries to meet their objectives, but it does it in a way that will not increase the base cost. So as we roll out a lot of needs in infrastructure, which are huge in the water department, I think it's important to emphasize that we're going to have this ambitious recycled and stormwater capture plan and usage reduction plan without raising costs for that. So anything that is increased in the water rates is going to go directly to infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the last card for item number 4.
Concludes public comment.
Yes.
Item number 5, Commissioner Noonan asked to be pulled. Who's going to present the item?
And I do have a couple of speaker cards for number 5 as well.
Okay. Should we present the item? Yeah, I think why don't we have the presentation first? Yeah.
Good morning, Jeff Peltola, Director of Financial Rates and Planning. So this contract is for consultants that actually used to be Huron Consulting. They were acquired by PA in August of 2010. They've done a significant amount of work at the department, are very familiar with our financial plans, our budgets, and our rates. They're going to provide assistance for us in developing one of the most complex rate actions, certainly of the last 15 to 20 years that we've been involved, that we will be involved with. It's a restructure and simplification of our rates for both water and power. They will assist us in the development and implementation of these rate packages. Additionally, there's a significant part in the board package talking about the conflict management. If there's any questions on that, we've been involved with the city attorney and working with them quite hard to ensure that the PA that was originally PA that the city has been using, that we can still have that function as well. And we've got signed letters of acknowledgments on a specific terms of conflict procedures that those attorneys will follow.
Okay, my questions, and I'll start them off by top priority.
Okay.
Is why wasn't this work competitively bid? And then why is the city and DWP opting to use the same vendor? I would imagine that there's other people who have this expertise. So given my professional background, I really am concerned about the conflict of interest there.
Okay. So two issues. One is we need to do this quite quickly and get the assistance in developing these rates very fast. We have these vendors or these consultants that came from Huron, essentially, and that's what I refer to them as Huron. I've known them as Huron up through August of 2010. They can help us to do this very fast, to put the rates together, to put the financial plans together, and to assist us in implementation of these rates without really being brought up to speed. If we bring a new vendor in, they'd have to be brought up to speed. That would take a lot of time. That's essentially, they've been working on our strategic plan, and that's part of why it was not competitively bid and gone through that. The conflicts of interest, and maybe I'd like Joe to come up and talk about that a little bit. We've went through great lengths to ensure that we can have the two different teams working on it.
I just want to address one thing you said. In reviewing requests to have different contracts signed, I keep seeing PA consultants, PA consultants, PA consultants. And I think the fallback position of like, well, they understand our system the best, it concerns me that we may not be getting the best price from them, because if they really feel like we're not going to competitively bid it, what kind of motivation is there for them to work with us on providing a more cost-effective consulting fee?
And Commissioner, I can only speak to this specific contract as the one I was involved in, and that's part of where what we worked with is to keep these prices consistent with the previous contract. So we have not had any increases in that. And that was the same concern that I had, was I didn't want to see the prices escalated, and actually the first proposal that I saw did have that. So we went back, worked with the vendor, and we got those prices back to where it was on the previous contract, because of we're doing business with them and we shouldn't see those prices go up. I agree, and I recognize your issue, and you're right. With the short time frame we have for the rates, I would prefer to go out and have an RFP process. It's just something where we have such a short time frame, we've got to put it together.
What is the deadline?
This is rates that were originally developed, were going to be implemented by July and they've got to help us develop it. And even right now, we really can't implement these rates by July. It'll be something subsequent to July.
Okay, one other thing that stood out is it states this agreement shall not exceed $599,000 for 1 year starting February 15th, 2011.
Right.
So it doesn't seem as if it's going to be starting right away. And the other thing is you talk about a fee for 1 year. How long do you anticipate you working with this vendor to accomplish this endeavor?
I would think that this vendor certainly would be here in somewhere around a 6-month process, and then after that they would go away because we would not need them anymore once we have the rates up and developed. And the February 15th, I know when we originally put this together, it was something that was on the previous board agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Do you want to speak to the conflict of interest?
Certainly. On the conflict of interest, we've set it up similar to what we would set up for a law firm conflict of interest. So there are requirements for the segregation of staff. No two people can work on both projects. The files are separately maintained, and in fact, we require that they have separate computer servers as well, so that you can't have access to any of the information. So we set up basically the same thing that we would establish for a law firm with a conflict of interest, with the additional requirements of the servers. Everybody who works on the project signs off to the conflict of interest provisions, the acknowledgement of the letter, and we receive signatures from everybody on that to this point, so that there are no ethical preclusions from this contract going forward.
This reminds me of the debacle that happened when we were working with the city using PA consultants. DWP had agreed for a contract not to exceed $250,000. The fee escalated to $700,000, and there wasn't prompt payment because we needed to see invoices, and then that got published in the newspaper, and we ended up paying $700,000 for a contract that wasn't supposed to exceed $250,000. So I would like some background information on that, and whether or not you've had that kind of experience with them in the past, and how you can feel confident that it's not going to happen again.
Just a point of clarification, I think the situation the Commissioner's talking about was PA prior to the acquisition of Huron. This contract is with Huron. Well, it's PA now because of its acquisition of Huron. I think what you're talking about was PA prior to the acquisition of Huron.
Yeah, and that's the two separate uses. That the PA that you just discussed was where they're working as an independent third party for City Council. This will be consultants that will be working directly for us under a task management program. So specifically, all the invoices, all of that, all of the work they do will be directed by us, by me essentially, to go out and do that work. That is the independent third party, which is what I would call the previous PA. I mean, that's who acquired Huron. This is really the work on Huron.
So to the Commissioner's point, in the past when we've dealt with Huron, have there been cost overruns? Have we had that same kind of experience?
Not that I'm aware of that we've seen. Certainly nothing like that. I know what you're discussing. And we are working on something for the independent third-party review so that we do not have those same issues that you just identified. Where DWP is expecting something at a far lesser cost, and then the cost comes in much higher. So we're working right now with the CLA and the CAO to develop a package to allow them to use PA, but it will be at a price that we know what it is, and I would expect that to come to your board either next meeting or the following meeting.
Out of curiosity, what other vendors do you use who do similar work to PA consultants?
So traditionally, when we look at these types of vendors, you're going to have vendors that have gone through and done the IEA survey. So Huron, PA did the last IEA survey. Huron did the IEA survey before that. I think there was a BWG that I'm not even sure if they're still around. I'm not sure. Ron's shaking his head. He's more familiar. They're not around anymore. I think I'm not familiar with the previous, when this was done as a proposal, who the other proposers were. I can try to get that information for you.
I would be curious as to whether or not we give PA consultants 100% of our business, 80% of our business. I do think that's an important fact for our board to know.
I agree. And again, that's something where these consultants recently being acquired, we've been using Huron traditionally as Huron proper, and then they just were acquired by PA. But I'll get you that information.
Jeff, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So where is Huron actually physically located? How many employees did they have? Did they end up moving in to share the same headquarters as PA Consulting? And now how many employees does PA have generally?
So this was the Huron utility practice that that was acquired by PA, and I'm trying to think of, it's somewhere in the range of about, I think, 5 employees that I'm aware of that do work for us that were from Huron, and I'd have to read the letter. I know, Commissioner, that it talks about the different headquarters and where they're.
Yes, I'm just trying to create a mental picture of being able to faithfully execute the issues related to conflict management procedures. And I'm just concerned that if people are sharing a shop and there's just a few people and they're meeting in the cafeteria and words get exchanged over lunch, that would concern me.
Other questions from commissioners?
Yeah.
Before you go to public comment?
I'm awaiting an answer.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look in. I'll have to find out about the physical location. It's my belief they're in 2 different locations. I know certainly the consultants that we utilize come out of Texas.
Sure.
Whereas the consultants that are being used over at the city, I believe, are coming out of Pasadena.
Do you know, Ron?
Yeah, I could add a little bit to that, color to that. I am familiar with the individual. Actually, BWG is Barrington Wellesley Group, and that firm is a smallish firm. It was acquired by Huron about, I want to say, 4 years ago. Huron then decided it. Huron was a much larger company, and it had a relatively small utilities practice. And that group was the one that was acquired. The group that was Barrington Wellesley, which we had used in the past and had some familiarity with the department, went to Huron. When Huron elected to get out of that practice, this group was acquired and became a part of PA, as I said, the August timeframe. They tend to work as many management consulting organizations types and specialist work is what we call a virtual organization. So they tend to literally work out of their homes and are attached to an office. My recollection is the office that this group is attached to within PA is in Denver, I believe. Subject to check.
There's actually one member that's in Denver, and the partner is out of Texas.
Correct.
I appreciate that because just want to make sure they're not co-located, and it sounds like they're not, and so this seems to be a very good idea in moving ahead on this. In fact, if it's all right with you, Mr. President, I would like to. Oh, we have to hear from public comment. All right.
Other comments from commissioners? I want to make one point here. I haven't said this to Ron. One of the things that has irritated me since my 2 years here is we get contracts when they're about to expire, and I feel the same way about these rate kind of issues. We know when we have to do these things, so we have to backdate or work backwards, so we don't have the press of time to force us to make a decision. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm not picking on you guys, but if they come before us and you want us to do it and you don't give us adequate time, we're going to send them back. We're going to send them back. Okay, so we know when things are due. Let's work our way back and come with a schedule that works for the rest of the board, but not as a contract or a consulting agreement. The other point I want to make is that in this situation, I was concerned about the conflict, but there is a cost associated with having to retrain another group. Do you have a sense of what that cost would be if we had to bring in another group and train them and get them familiar with our rates? our rate structure and our processes?
I could just off the top of my head, at a minimum, it would take us just to get consultants familiar with how to look at our costs, be familiar with our financial plans, be familiar with our rates. I would think you're looking at a minimum for each consultant, probably a week's worth of time to 2 weeks worth of time. So that's 40 to 80 hours. You can use the average rates in the 250 to 300 range, I believe. So.
And that startup cost in my mind is not definitive, but it is something we have to consider
Right.
as we really try to reduce the aggregate cost of what we're doing.
Right.
Other comments from commissioners? Is there a motion? I'm sorry, there's a public comment, excuse me, sorry.
Okay, the first public speaker is Dr. Clyde Williams, and after that, Candido Moraes.
Welcome back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Clyde Williams.
From El Cerrito.
Pride of place. It's a lovely place.
It is.
What are we doing? All sorts of metaphors come to mind. Crisis management requires crises in order to get management. So we create a crisis in order to get a vote. Common practice for my 40 years of consultancy. Oh, other things. Huron? Oh, at least this was one thing that I noticed within the file report. These are PA retreads of Huron. Didn't we have Measure R? Or sorry, Measure B? Wasn't that done by Huron? And as they point out, there's not many people in the Huron Utility Division. Didn't they do the, quotes, strategic plan, kind of? And we're going to get them back, but by way of PA, power corrupts, something like that. So, the communities. Do we trust DWP? Do we trust situations like this? Transparency. How can you be transparent if the two departments, that is City Council and DWP, are going to have separate consultants, but from the same company? Even the neighborhood councils are supposed to be advised regarding rates. Are we going to get access to both of the consultants? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things, but in realistic terms, $600,000, that buys you maybe 2 consultants, but $300 an hour versus $160 an hour. 2 people. 2 people here, hopefully 2 people over there. What's the probability of them being Huron retreads to PA? Quite concerned about this. Send it back. The only way that you will get your management to operate on a schedule, and they're supposed to have some sort of Oracle Primavera schedule, is to give a downside to it. If they have to go back and resubmit, hey, then they will learn better the next time. If you don't spank the child, sometimes the child will continue to push the edge. They're pushing the edge. And again, and again. And how about the next? Oh, how about
Can you wrap up your
ECAP?
remarks, please? Can you wrap up your remarks,
Yes.
please?
So I would highly recommend send it back. You have time. Yes, it will cost money, but send it back. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Candido Moraes.
Commissioners, Mr. Sales, thank you. Ms. Noon, thank you. This is a disgrace. This is an absolute disgrace. I just recently received the 2010 supply chain assessment. We're going to take a look at that and report on that next time. But this is the same story that we hear every year. And Mr. Sales, you said it best, is that they always bring it to you at the last moment. Now, Mr. Portola, he's a wonderful man. He's one of the good guys here at DWP, and I respect him. But this is a process that's taken place at DWP for years. This is corruption at its best. When we tried to fix the problem in 2004, things went awry. So here we are again in 2011, and we have a contract that's coming before you. They're telling you that there are no price increases. Prices have stayed the same. Guess what, folks? My accountant has lowered his price because the economy's bad. Because we have ratepayers and people in this great city who are struggling to pay their water and power bill. I'll take you to a lady, a woman and her daughter who live on Peach Street in Van Nuys, who cannot afford to flush their toilets because they're on fixed income. So what do? We give out these nice contracts, and you're absolutely correct. We start out with the $600,000, then what is it called? It's called a change order. What happens with the change order? We increase that to $1 million, and then we increase it to another $1 million. So that's what's taking place here. So again, it's limited time. We haven't had an increase, and God knows, a year or so, we'll just add some more money on there, and this company will get another nice little gift from the Department of Water and Power. And yet the ratepayers will suffer. The ratepayers who are struggling to keep their homes will continue to pay the bill. So please, let's take a look. Just send this back. And if I may just, with your permission, Mr. Guevara, who's a veteran, his name's Guevara, my name's Maris. We're forced to park 2 blocks away. I've got a cast. Everybody want to take a look? I've got a cast. He's got health problems. Our good dear friends from other neighborhood council, Mr. Ray and Mr. Wilkerson, they get free parking here. They park downstairs, folks. Is this the 50s again? You know, with my last comments is this. You know, I looked up the definition of bully. And the bully is a person who likes to intimidate weaker people. Is that what we're continuing to happen here? Guevara and Maris have to walk 2 blocks while Ray and the other person parks underneath? We'll do it. We'll continue to do it. But I'll make sure, I promise you this,
Can you wrap up your
that what
remarks,
happened
please?
to us, I'll make sure it never happens to your child, your grandchild, yours. We'll make sure that your children never have to go through what we had to go through with this nonsense.
Thank you. Any other comments on item 5?
I'd like to move to approve item 5.
I'll second.
And I abstain.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This note passes 3-0 with 1 abstention.
Okay.
I think we have a public comment on number 6.
Yes, I do have 1 speaker card for number 6. The speaker is Dr. Clyde Williams.
Dr. Clyde Williams, El Sereno. What are we doing? This is to do an experiment. That's fine. Eventually, a 5-year experiment. However, the question is, how does this relate to subsidies for the port? Will there be full cost recovery for all of these expenses during the experiment? From whom? The ratepayers? We're going to be paying for the Port of LA. Doesn't the Port of LA have enough money to pay for it all? I don't know. But at least there should be a full cost recovery at little or no cost to the ratepayers, because if there is a subsidy for the project, then the question as to, is this a fee going to be transposed to the ratepayers? And how about Proposition 26? How does it relate to cross subsidies within a utility? Thank you.
So this is still on the consent agenda. Is there comment?
That was the last card for number 6, so we can close the public comment period.
Mr. President, I'm in very strong support of item 6. You know, the Port of Los Angeles is the single greatest source of air pollution in the region, and this initiative can potentially reduce particulate and ozone pollution coming from the port. And I think it's a role that DWP can play that will protect public health and increase commerce in the city of LA. So I'm in strong support.
Let's take the public comment on item 7, and then we will.
I do
on
not
6.
have a card for number 7.
Okay. Is there a motion to move the balance of the agenda, items 6 and 7?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none. Items 6 and 7 pass. Thank you. I think there's a speaker on item 8.
Yes, I have a speaker card for item number 8. Dr. Clyde Williams.
Dr. Clyde Williams, El Sereno. This one is interesting to me because of the last year's water conservation and what it did to your revenue neutral requirements. Revenue neutral. Energy efficiency is a great thing. Again, I only consume 3 kilowatt hours per day for 900 square foot house. So we're quite efficient. Problem comes that if you become efficient, that means there's less rates being paid by the ratepayers. Okay, they don't pay as much, and especially if they go down below a tier. So there's a question as to, will efficiency affect your bottom line? How much revenue, or question, will efficiencies promote revenue neutral power requirements? Thank you.
Thank you. Who's going to make the report? Is it Ms. Pascal? Oh.
We have a team coming up who will help present today. I'm going to ask Gretchen Hardison, who's a newer member of the team, to also come up with Tom Gackstetter and Lucia. Gretchen oversees the ERA grant program components, and Lucia oversees the residential customer component, and the gentleman who oversees the non-residential, the business customer components, out today, so he will not be here.
How about it?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners. My name is Tom Gackstetter. I'm the Director of Energy Efficiency and Water Conservation, and I'll be providing you a briefing on the energy efficiency programs today. I'd like to start with the guiding principles that we use in terms of developing energy efficiency programs and their implementation. One is that we establish aggressive energy efficiency targets each and every year, and then we develop and implement programs to pursue those targets. Within each of those programs, we develop cost-effective program elements to make sure that we're not overpaying for our energy efficiency. We're actually getting value for our investment. Thirdly, an important criteria is job creation in Los Angeles. We want to take a look at our program design and make sure that it does engender job development within the city. Fourth, we develop programs that offer customer support and continuous improvement of the customer experience. We do that using feedback loops that we establish with our customers. We had a very beneficial workshop last week where we brought in our major account customers, had a good representation of those customers, and presented the programs and solicited feedback from them. And so that was a very constructive exercise, and we will be doing more of that in the coming months and year. We also pursue rigorous verification of the program measures and the energy savings that we obtain. This is something that's very important to ensure that we're getting value for our conservation investments. And lastly, a guiding principle is economic development and investing in the city of Los Angeles. So in speaking about the program last year, fiscal year 09-10, this was a bit of a down year for us as compared to the prior year, and I'll go into the reasons why that is. But here are some numbers from that year and as it compares with our current budget year. For residential energy efficiency in 09-10, we spent $5.1 million in direct program costs, or 16.3% of our total spend. Compare that with our current year. We have $17.2 million budgeted, and we're implementing programs now that will help us get towards that target. Non-residential energy efficiency, we spent $26.1 million in direct costs. And when I say direct costs, I mean incentives and other program-related costs. This does not include labor or benefits, those kinds of things. The $26.1 million representing 83.7% of our total spend in direct costs, as compared to the budget of $31.8 million for last year and a $34.7 million budget this year. ARA funding, or ARA-funded programs, we did not have any of that in 09-10. However, in 10-11, we do have $16.2 million that have been put forth in ARA funds that have been made available to DWP. The energy savings resulting from those programs in 09-10, 19.7 gigawatt hours achieved through the residential programs, 10.7% of the total. Our goal was 31.3 gigawatt hours, and our goal for 10-11, the current program year, is 37.9 gigawatt hours. You can see the lion's share of the energy savings was actually in the non-residential sector. 163.9 gigawatt hours, or 89% of what we achieved, occurred in the non-residential sector. Came very close to our goal last year, and we have a goal of 193.1 this year. And the energy savings attributable to the ARA funds is to be determined. These are some brand new technologies that we're looking at, and part of the reason we're doing them is to really assess what we get and ascertain whether or not this is a good investment for future years and future programs. So looking historically at both our program achievements and our program expenditures, you can see it's been a bit of an up and down ride, but the trend line on both the achievement and the expenditures is in the upward direction, which bodes well for our programs and our customers. We did have a peak here in fiscal year 08-09 at 318 gigawatt hours, and a peak spend as well at $73.7 million. And you see in the following year, 09-10, we had a dip, and I'll explain that dip in the next slide. But overall, we are continuing, I think, in the right direction. We're investing our achievements year to year, with the exception of this last year, and it is our intention to continue that trend line in the upward direction. So what happened in 08-09 versus 09-10? You can see on slide 4, we had two programs that really stand out on that chart. The Small Business Direct Install program was a program by which we used contractors to go out and install energy-efficient lighting in our small business customers' places of business. And we had a banner year in that program in 08-09. In 09-10, that program was slowing down a little bit because we had hit some element of saturation with regard to the outreach of the program. It was restricted to lighting, and we hope to revisit that program, recognizing the success that it did have in 08-09. The second program that really stands out is the Compact Fluorescent Lamp Distribution Program. That was a program in early 2009 where we distributed 2 CFLs to every residence in Los Angeles. Tremendous energy savings attributable to that program, but it was kind of a one-shot deal, and that type of program is really not sustainable. So it is incumbent upon us to develop programs that are sustainable, and we have a plan to do that. So what drives the budget for our energy efficiency programs? Our budgeting priorities are shown on slide 5. And I'd like to talk about the first bullet a little bit, the savings opportunities identified by the Energy Efficiency Potential Study. We have a study that is just wrapping up right now, and it's something that all utilities are required to do every 3 years, is to identify what the energy savings potential is within your service territory, and based on that, you develop 10 years of goals, which are then transmitted to the California Energy Commission. We will be presenting to you that potential study at a meeting in March, as well as the goals that we feel are supported by that potential study. So the potential study actually looks at the potential savings over the 10-year frame and considers past DWP programs, what the participation rates have been, what equipment saturation has been achieved in the service territory, as well as new technology that is coming, and also the effects of codes and standards relative to what that potential looks like over time. The findings of this potential study actually serves as a roadmap for us to develop our future programs and to adjust our current programs to the extent they need adjusting. And as I mentioned, the findings associated with that study will be presented to you shortly for your consideration, as well as the goals that are associated with the potential study. So moving on down the slide, our budgeting priority for us is also support of our successful ongoing programs. We have quite an active program in both the res and non-res sectors, and so our budget continues to support those programs. We also use the budget, of course, to fund pilot programs, to test new program areas, test new program delivery mechanisms, and also to enhance the existing programs that we have. And I've got five programs that are listed Retro commissioning is a program by which you go into an existing building and essentially tune up the mechanical systems. These systems tend to degrade in performance over time. Retro commissioning addresses that opportunity and energy savings. And I might add that these are all grant funded this year. So this is a great opportunity for us to fund some pilots using ARA funds. We have a program for nonprofit business retrofits, a weatherization program for our eligible low-income customers. We offer new rebates, which actually became available to us last October for alternative cooling. This is for cool roofs and also for whole house fans that actually mitigate the use of existing air conditioning or actually obviate the need for air conditioning for those homes that don't have it. And lastly, increasing outreach through grants and expanded public education. This is another element of our grant funds where we're going to be providing funding to nonprofits to carry that message forth in their own communities. Another budgeting priority for us is to fund these new programs based on the pilots and then emerging technology or industry practices rather. And we ascertain what that emerging practice is through both shared knowledge, workshops, and partnerships with both our customers and with other utilities. Cost metrics drive our funding priorities. We want to make sure that our energy efficiency portfolio is cost effective as compared to the cost to generate electricity. And lastly, to develop and maintain program designs to promote long-term stability and make sure that we leverage our workforce and come very close, if not achieving our goals each and every year. On slide 6, just a brief snapshot of the last fiscal year. We achieved 183.6 gigawatt hours of energy savings. We spent in direct costs $31.2 million, and the programs listed there are the program offerings that we currently have and their contribution to both the energy savings and the budget expenditure. You can see that the majority of both our savings and our investment went to the non-residential sector. The commercial lighting efficiency offer is a rebate program offering rebates on many energy efficient technologies, and that was almost 40% of our energy savings and 39% of our investment as well. Very robust program. We spend $10 to $12 million per year just in incentives in that program. Our custom performance program is a savings-based program that offers incentives for things that are not on any of our menus. So to the extent that a customer has an innovative idea to save energy in their own facility, we have a program to help them pay for that.
Can I ask a question? So why is the program for commercial lighting, for example, so much more, no pun intended, efficient than the small business direct install program?
The commercial lighting program offers rebates, and what we have are vendors that work in Los Angeles and leverage those rebates to sell their products and services. So this is largely a vendor-driven program. It allows us to put forth incentives that are high enough to really attract both the attention of our customers as well as those vendors. As compared to the small business direct install, where we actually hired contractors through SCAPA to go out and not only procure the equipment but also install the equipment. So there's more cost involved with that program, but it also the reason that's an important program is it addresses a segment of our customer base that doesn't typically participate in our rebate programs. They're small businesses, they're focused on their business, and they typically don't have energy managers, they're not aware of most current technology. So this program really got at that opportunity. It did cost more per kilowatt hour, but it also captured energy savings that we might not have otherwise captured.
On the pilot programs, are we also outsourcing that or contracting that, or DWP personnel?
Actually, the contract or the grant funded programs, majority of that is being done in-house. The weatherization program is being done in-house. The nonprofit retrofits is being done in-house. The public information program is actually are grants that are going to be given to nonprofits to carry that message forward. But the bulk of the work associated with the grant funds is being done in-house.
You do have to wonder, though, you take the refrigeration program, right? It's 2% of the cost, and it produces almost 10% of the energy savings, whereas the small business program is almost 25% of the cost and produces only 10% of the energy savings.
Yeah,
So is there some policy reason that's really driving us? I mean, clearly we want to work with small businesses, but this is not a terribly efficient use of an efficiency program.
Well, what we have.
Or if I'm missing something, help me.
Sure. The refrigeration program is a case in point. This is another vendor-driven program largely, and where most of that energy savings came from is the replacement of the magnetic seals that go around refrigerated cases. So we have vendors that do strictly that for the price of the rebate in our customers' facilities. So it offers tremendous energy savings to us at very little cost to us. So it just turns out to be a very cost-effective program, but again, one of the keys in my estimation as far as achieving our energy savings goals is to offer a portfolio of services so we capture every opportunity. And without a direct install, as an example, that's a segment that we're just not going to get to otherwise. So, I mean, if
do you think the small business direct install program will become more efficient over time?
I believe it can be, and it's our intention to really revisit that program and look at opportunities both for in-house implementation as well as contractor implementation to see how maybe a hybrid model might work. One of the things that we did on this initial program was to restrict it to lighting. There are other opportunities within those businesses, and it behooves us to really take a look at every opportunity that we have once we're inside the door. And that, too, would also lend itself to more efficiency in the program itself.
The refrigeration program for business is for larger businesses? Are small businesses in that number as well?
It's for any business.
It's for any business. So there is a small business component to that number as well, right? So if they taken together, it might not be skewed as negatively.
That is a possibility. I would say that the vendors that work in those programs, I mean, they do focus more in the smaller businesses as well. So the small mini markets, as an example, anything that has refrigeration equipment in it, the vendors go out there and visit and use our program to sell their services.
Tom, how do you account for the refrigerator exchange program not running as efficiently as the refrigeration recycle program?
There's a good, simple answer for that. We were given the opportunity to operate a weatherization program, but we weren't given any additional staff to operate that program. So what we ended up having to do was reassign staff that was assigned to the refrigerator exchange program to promote that program and shift them over to the process of developing a weatherization program from the ground up. So we have a marketing plan developed and ready to go. As far as really increasing the participation rates in the low-income refrigerator program, tremendous potential still exists out there. We just need the staff to actually put it in place.
And while we're asking questions, I did notice that in 09-10 that of the budgeted amount for performing residential energy efficiency programs, we only spent around 16% of the dollars that had been set aside. What accounts for that kind of lack of meeting our budgetary goals?
Again, I would point to a couple of things. One is the focus on the weatherization program right now at the expense, frankly, of the energy efficiency programs that are also available to the residential customers. The other
so
component,
it's redeployed personnel that weren't able to get the funds out into the community? Is that what you're saying?
Let me try to answer that. I think the question was, why didn't we meet our budget targets for last year?
Yep.
Was that the question? And the budget was frozen because of what we were going through with ECAF. And it was frozen in December of 2009, and it was frozen, and there were no expenditures that were allowed or authorized under energy efficiency until ECAF was resolved. And that was in April of last year. And so we only had May and June of the remaining fiscal year to execute on a lot of the rebate processing and some of the programs, and the energy efficiency was effectively in limbo. And so it's not because weatherization took some of the staff time and shifted resources. That did. Getting that program up and running consumed a large amount of our residential staff's time, but the main reason we didn't meet our targets last year was that the program itself was put on the shelf, and it only had 2 months of activity in the fiscal year to execute, and the staff did a good job with the remaining 60 days to try to get to that 183.
I would also add that we had some new programs that we had planned on developing and rolling out that also did not get developed as a result of the considerations given around the ECAF issue.
And the energy efficiency, as you know, is rolled into the ECAP rate. It still is until there's some rate reform, and it was the area that was identified as having flexibility to freeze.
The only other thing I'd point out on slide 6, the new construction program, you can see there that it contributed only 1.2% of the energy savings and consumed 2% of the direct cost budget. Reason for that there are actually two. One is, of course, is the economy resulted in a lot less new construction occurring in the city of Los Angeles. The other is that the program has been placed on hold. We are retooling that program. It was tied to lead energy points, and with the changes in Title 24 and the Cal Green Code being adopted at the state level, we need to have a program that reflects those codes and those requirements. So we're retooling that program, and we'll have that program back before you for your consideration. Moving on to slide 7, measurement and verification is a very important element of our energy efficiency programs, and DWP has made and continues to make very significant investments in energy efficiency, and we really need to know year to year what we got for our spend. So measurement and verification does that. We hire a third party, as we're required to do by AB 2021, to go out and really survey our customers. They actually go on site, take a look at the equipment that was installed, the operating hours that are assumed, and tell us what we got for our money. And that is one element of our measurement and verification activities, and I'd like to go through the rest of it with you here. One is we do accurately track our program activity and the measures that are installed through the programs via an in-house database, Customer Connect. We measure the energy savings by virtue of industry standard deemed savings. So these are the same savings assumptions that are used by our IOU utilities in California as well as other municipals. And so this is an industry standard measure of energy efficiency that we lay claim to through the activities of our program. I mentioned the third-party M&V activities. We've got 10 years of third-party study of our programs, and the typical finding that we have is that our savings estimates are conservative in nature, which bodes well for our, the fact that we can count on these energy savings on a going-forward basis. We are also working with the CEC. We're forging a new relationship with them. They've taken an active interest in measurement and verification to really take a look at what the state of California is doing in the area of energy efficiency. So we're working with the CEC to ensure that our program, our measurement and verification program, gives them the information they need to properly plan for energy efficiency within the state. And our program of measurement and verification is currently winding down. We should be finished with our last little bit in April of this year. We will be going out with a new solicitation for a service provider later in 2011. We also do some in-house measurement and verification. This relates to the custom energy performance program that I mentioned prior. We take a look at engineering estimates for proposed projects by our customers, and we also base that on metered savings as far as the energy savings that we get. So we're very serious about measuring and tracking the energy performance of our programs, and we have an in-house staff as well as this third party that does that for us. We also have rigorous validation of the information that we receive from our customers in terms of the incentive or applications that we do take in. We want to make sure that they're accurate, and as part of that, we also do a high degree of pre- and post inspections to ensure that what the situation is prior to our customers taking any action, and then what they did as a result. So all told, it's a very thorough effort in terms of measurement and verification, and we can feel very confident in the energy savings that we achieve.
I'd like just to interrupt just a brief moment on that, and that is the whole issue of measurement and verification, or often heard as acronym M&V, is something that's increasingly important across the board, no matter whether you're a public power, a municipal utility, or an investor-owned utility, as we start making the types of expenditures that we're making in energy efficiency. It's certainly not token spending like we saw 20 years ago. And getting those dollars of investment, making sure you're getting the bang for the buck are incredibly important. We know when we operate a power plant, we know what we get for it. It's measured and it's there and it's within a tiny fraction off. you don't necessarily know exactly what you get without these kinds of programs. And so, in part, this is a learning experience as well to go back and say, we thought we were going to get this. This is what we got. What can we get going forward? And as we dovetail this with our that energy efficiency potential study that we talked about, which is, again, every 3 years, we get an assessment not only of what did we get for the investment that we made, we also get our update on going forward, what's that remaining potential out there, and so we learn the lessons from what investments we did before. In part, that's what you're seeing in some of those earlier programs when you're asking about the relative efficiency of that. There's different pieces of an overall portfolio of energy efficiency that we're putting together, and some of those we were kind of at the, you know, the overused term, the low-hanging fruit area, when you're looking at going around and putting magnetic strips around every freezer box in every mini mart around Los Angeles. It's easy, it's pretty simple in every one of them, it's pretty darn efficient. Once you've done that, you know, you've kind of used that opportunity up. We end up having to go through and taking a look at some of our other programs that are a little harder to get to, a little more customized, and end up getting a little bit more expensive. One of the things that we'll be doing as we go forward on looking at our future plans is to take a look at what can we do to make sure that we're looking at ramping up that cost curve in a way that's efficient, also recognizing, you know, how big of an opportunity is there. So you're going to see as we go forward, probably going to see that those incremental costs tend to go up a little bit because we've got the cheap opportunities, the good low-hanging fruit opportunities first. So just trying to tie that a little bit together for you. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no. Thank you, Ray. What I'd like to do now is just briefly touch on each of our programs, and if you have any questions, I'd be certainly happy to address them. On the residential customer offerings, we have a low-income refrigerator exchange program. We have the refrigerator turn-in and recycle program, or retire program. We have our consumer rebate program, which is it's a rebate for typical household items that can save energy for our customers. We have our weatherization assistance program that is just now out in the field, and changes are being made now to our eligible low-income customers to improve their energy efficiency. On the business side, we have our commercial lighting efficiency offer, which is, again, a rebate program for many lighting efficiency technologies on page 10. Our custom performance program, which bases incentives on the actual savings attributable to each project. On page 11, we have our refrigeration program offering incentives for equipment, controls, and things like seals that were just mentioned. And again, our small business direct install program, which actually is not in operation at the moment, but we are working both with the power system and service providers to look at our opportunities and develop a model that works for everybody. Our chiller efficiency program on page 12, this is an opportunity that occurs every 20 to 25 years because this equipment lasts a long time, so we offer very robust incentives in that program to help increase the efficiency when the opportunity presents itself. Pilot program, a retro commissioning program that I mentioned previously, and our new construction program that, again, is being retooled to reflect changes in codes and standards. I would like to draw your attention to slide 13. This is our ongoing support for the city, and we support them in a number of ways. We did make them a very large low-interest loan for the street lighting retrofit that is underway as we speak, converting the existing street lights to LEDs. Along with that loan, we're also offering a great deal of incentive monies associated with those energy savings that will result. On the traffic signals, likewise, the city is converting to LED traffic lights, and we offered them a $9.1 million loan, which has been paid in full, and we are in the process of paying incentives as the projects are completed. And then for the remainder of the city, the municipal buildings, DWP staff actually performed audits on 497 of those city facilities and delivered to the city a very robust report. That is the basis for energy efficiency projects that are ongoing now with the city, and we are offering them both low-interest loans and incentives to support that activity.
Do you have a sense of how efficient our business are relative to other urban areas? So is there a benchmark here that we are trying to achieve? Or?
You know, I don't have that information. I will look into that for you, and be happy to provide that to you.
Just curious.
Sure.
The other question I had, kind of goes back to the question I had before. Most of our offerings are handled in-house. Is that typical of utilities our size, or do most go out to local contractors?
In truth, the majority, and this would be in the IOU sector primarily, most of that business gets contracted out.
And why do we do it in-house versus contract?
We have some of the capacity to deliver it in-house, and it's just it's the way the programs have evolved over time. Not to say that that can't change, and frankly, I think we need to look at all opportunities going forward to make sure that we have a portfolio of programs that achieves our goals and does so at a budget that we can all live with.
Tom, have we gone out in the field and talked to some of the businesses and residences that have gone through the retrofit process? And are there any complaints about installations? Have the lighting fixtures, the refrigeration units, the chillers, has this work been performed correctly? Do we have any data on customer satisfaction?
It's anecdotal information in that we do hear back occasionally from customers when they're unhappy with the service they received, particularly for something that they received an incentive for, but those complaints are very few and far between. For the Small Business Direct Install program, we actually did a sampling of an examination of the work that was performed there, and the lion's share of the work was performed properly. Customers were happy with it. And so we don't have a structured program that goes out and does that, but the information that we do receive indicates that there's a high degree of customer satisfaction with results.
And also, when it comes to the chiller efficiency program, what level is that being funded at currently, and then looking at the next budget?
Jonathan, I'll get you that information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have the budget.
And I also noticed that, a really brilliant idea that Mr. Peltola has been advocating over the years is district cooling. And I'm a big fan of that as well. I think that could, talk about bang for the buck, that could really decrease a lot of our peak loads here in Southern California. Why is that not represented in any of these programs here at the District Cooling Initiative?
I'll jump in for Tom since he's turning red. Similar to the energy efficiency programs last year, the funding was put on hold. The capital budget for district cooling was also put on hold with some of the budget constraints. Because that was on hold and we had a very talented staff of engineers and architects looking at it, we've shifted some of their work to work on our custom and to leverage the grant money that's come through that Gretchen's overseen and make the best use of the retro commissioning and the nonprofits while we have them. It's an 18-month program, 24-month program, and it's federal money. It's additive to what we have. And that's where we are right now.
Well, there are a lot of employees here at DWP. So you're telling me that there's just a limited pool of people who can work on the energy efficiency program and they couldn't work on the district cooling plan at the same time? We had to redeploy a limited number? If that's the answer, that's an acceptable answer, but it's surprising.
It's coupled with the funding constraints because we had cuts last year in different program areas, one of which was that, and that staff has the background and experience. It made sense to ask them to work on a project that was funded by federal money, that was in an area that fit their skills and skill set. So it's not just that we don't have enough staff, it is that a combination of there were some cuts last year and some programs put on hold. And this was the group who happened to fit well with the retro commissioning and the other areas that Gretchen's overseeing. And Mr. Benjamin may want to jump in as well.
Is the budget that's being prepared going to reflect some funding in it for district cooling?
No, the district cooling is not in there because of the system issues. The IRP, the models, the system simulations that we've done, and Mr. Nichols presented the priorities that we have. We've gone through a study for our system, voltage support and VAR support studies, which could be much more effective, as far as the priorities that we can go through and spend the money there and kind of go through our priorities whenever the system stability is at the front.
Do we anticipate the energy efficiency potential study identifying district cooling as an option, as an area to pursue?
We do not. No.
They're not going to pursue that.
The potential study, I'll have to go back and take a look at it, but the draft potential study doesn't have district cooling.
The idea of the district cooling was to shift load, at the peak. So shifting load is the key, performance indicator for. So what we have to do is go through different shift loading priorities that we have, and if the district cooling is part of that priority, then we will get to it. But right now, as we ran the performance on each of those options that we have, the district cooling was not part of that.
So essentially, we're saying we're abandoning the idea.
We're not abandoning the idea of shifting load. That's always been very, very practical tool for us, to make sure we're not putting generation on. That idea is part of our system operations. How we do that is the key, and where it fits as far as how much money we can spend on this. Having district cooling in urban, developed city, it's very difficult. And when you look at New York or Chicago, those district cooling systems have been in place, and then the city kind of was built around it, so it was easier to kind of construct around it. But having a district cooling in an urban area like this, cutting through several obstacles, the bridge, a lot of underground infrastructure, the metro tunnel, getting to the cities, there's cost associated with it, and that cost right now, it doesn't fit into the goal of shifting load to our system. If we can do it cheaper with some other way, that's what we're going to go after.
Right, last question for me. Demand side management initiatives, do we see some of that reflected in some of the programs here?
I'll take that one too. The potential study, the original scope of the potential study looked at the energy efficiency and the customer side, and the DSM programs was added as an additional task for the study in partnership with the power system. So we will get, and it's a program area that Mr. Webster, under Mr. Benjamin, is looking at to develop along with some of the ECC staff, where I think it fits well. And we'll come back in March, and if not March, by April, with additional information from our consultants on the DSM portion potential study. And I expect, depending on how our budget is developed and the rates and the rate structure and the level of funding, I expect we'll come back later in the year with a proposal on DSM.
Thank you.
We're going to lose people fairly soon.
I'll wrap it up.
Well,
Certainly. I would just add that the second part of the potential study is looking at demand response, and that's actually dispatchable peak load reduction. So we're looking at our customers to see what opportunities there are, and that report will capture that information for us. The other program operated out of the Energy Efficiency Group is the Green Power Program, the renewable energy for all of our customers. This is a program that's voluntary. Customers can sign up. We have a number of enhancements we'd like to make to that program based upon practices offered by other utilities that operate successful programs. And this is a part of the consideration of the rate restructuring. As soon as that gets ironed out, we will be back to you with a revised Green Power Program for your consideration.
So why don't you jump forward to the path forward?
Certainly. So the path forward, thoroughly evaluate the findings of the forthcoming potential study. Based on the findings of that study, rank the energy efficiency opportunities identified both by savings and by cost, and then enhance the existing programs and develop new programs based on that new opportunity, considering sufficient levels of programmatic funding year to year, resources availability, meaning staffing resources and other necessary resources to implement, and then establishment of a budget and rate structure that also supports sustained levels of financial support on a going forward basis.
Questions or comments?
I just have one follow-up comment or request from Vice President Hollerman's last comment to you. I'm intrigued. I'm curious as to why other utilities would outsource a lot of these jobs instead of keeping them in-house. And I'd like you just to provide some background information on that. And if they do it for cost savings, And if that is the case, it would be interesting to see if we could reevaluate how much is done in-house versus helping the local businesses.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments or questions? Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Anything else, Madam Secretary?
No, that's everything on the open part of the agenda.
Okay, so
So we need to recess into a closed session, or just recess for now, and then we have to open up the special meeting, take the roll, and then we'll recess that, and then go into closed session.
got that. Okay. Well, we're going to adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, we're going to recess this meeting right now, yes.
Okay.
And then we need to open up the special meeting for Tuesday, February 15th. And we have Commissioners Parfrey, Holloman, Sales, and Noonan present. And then we just need to, I have no speaker cards turned in for that, so we just need to recess into closed session for the special.
Now we're recessed into closed session.
Now,
And I'm going
Mr.
to change the order of closed session. Initially we're going to take a matter where I only want the general manager and the lawyers, and then we'll bring others in. Yes.